Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hey there all you Droidiacs, this is David from the Droid Workshop, coming at you with a very special holiday episode that serves two purposes. First one is, this is going to be a build that's going to go into my Star Wars room once I finally get it done. And number two, my wife said I could put it out with the Christmas decorations. Now, truth be told, my wife is not as big a Star Wars fan as I am, but she loves me and she loves the fact that my hobbies, while they may be a little bit expensive, they're not illegal or life-threatening. So what's in store for today? Well, I'm glad you asked. Everybody has their favorite Christmas movie, right? I have several. From National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, to Jim Carrey's The Grinch, to Home Alone, to Polar Express. But my absolute all-time favorite has got to be A Christmas Story. I mean, come on. Who can't relate to being that young kid desiring that one special Christmas present? So, while this movie may be known for...
No, I want an official Red Ryder Carbine Action 200 my leg rifle.
And...
Immediately, my feet began to sweat as those two fluffy little bunnies with the blue button eyes stared sappily up at me.
the number one thing that it's most known for is this.
This is a lamp.
It was indeed a lamp.
Isn't that great? What a great lamp.
Yes, that's right. The leg lamp from a statue. Now, I've seen other people do takes on this before, like the C-3PO leg and the R2-D2 head. But I wanted something a little bit different that could stand out on its own and be a little bit smaller to fit into my room and not take up too much space in amongst all my wife's Christmas decorations. And since I'm on a time crunch, let's get started.
Oh, what's fine is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Racing through the snow.
Here we have all the pieces laid out for the project, including some extra parts I thought I would need but didn't use. I've got the newest edition of the Pit Droid foot from Droid Division that has holes to fix it to a base. My other pit has foot clamps and they work great. But the original creator, David Moog, came up with this design and it'll really help to sell the idea. One thing I'm going to point out is that I've modified the leg parts just a bit using Blender to make a channel for the electrical cord. My apologies to anyone who wants to do this too, but I got special permission from Dave to do it, and out of respect, I will not be hosting my modified files. For the lampshade, I'm using a BB-8 head. These parts are an amalgamation of several different files out there, and I honestly can't remember all the makers, but the specs are pretty much spot on and the parts are interchangeable. For this particular build, I'm not going for screen accuracy, so it's not going to be perfect, and I'm not too concerned about the print lines or making sure every line or detail is perfect. If I was, I'd be using the acetone and spot filler method I've shown on other builds. But like I said, I'm in a time crunch and I want to get this done. To put all the pieces of the head together, I'm using the thin CA glue and activator spray. A couple of quick tips. CA glue comes in varying forms, from thin to thick, depending on your application. Usually I can get away with this, but I probably should have used the thicker stuff because some of the gaps are small and needed filling. Also, I made the mistake of not using gloves for this. It's not a bad thing to do it every once in a while, but if you're going to be doing it a lot, and just for general safety practices, use gloves.
Bad llama.
Time for the announcement. Okay, people, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Santa's coming to town.
Santa! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him. I know him.
Now on to the painting. Once again, this is for fun, and I'm not going for accuracy. What I did want, though, is a little variety. My goal with the BB-8 head was to try to make it look like the lampshade, so I painted the bottom ring black and the top a yellowish color. Truth be told, with the current crisis making spray paint choices limited, if not non-existent, I rummaged through my old stock and found something that would work. I mostly used Rust-Oleum paints and had to switch to a Krylon for this yellow. Now, I don't normally recommend mixing paint brands. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a brand snob, but sometimes the blends of the paints don't like to mix well. I've had problems in the past, but surprisingly this time it turned out okay. On to painting the legs. Of course I had to do the silver base, and on top of that my daughter and wife suggested I do Christmas colors of blue, green, red, and gold, plus leaving a little bit of the silver exposed. I didn't really have any plan for this. I just went with what I thought would look good. If this were to be a regular pit droid, I would be using the metal cap screw bolts, but for this, I decided to 3D print some and paint them gold to match the bolts used on Guido. I did try a trick I saw someone else do and painted them black first, and the gold really stood out for this. After a little trial and error, I got it all put together, but then I realized I secured the foot to the shin before bolting it to the base and ended up having to do the ankle bolts all over again.
Oh, fudge.
In my first modification of the upper leg, I actually made the opening too big for the lamp base. So back to Blender to whip up an adapter, and it worked. Sort of. Through more trial and error, I finally decided to not only get a regular metal lampshade holder, but also the threaded adapters that are supposed to be for this kind of thing. I still had to modify my original adapter to be used for the metal one, and it finally started looking like a real lamp. Now, I actually already had a lamp wiring set I had used for a different project years ago, and I decided to use it for this build. Wiring is very simple. Just be sure to secure your wiring and get it covered before plugging it in. For the base, I thought about using a bamboo Lazy Susan, but I had some scrap wood lying around and I made my own. I wasn't too sure about the color, but decided to go with gold so it would make the foot stand out, kind of like the shoe in the lamp from the movie. And the lamp is finally together. And it's time for a little ambiance. So there you have it, folks. The Pit Droid Leg Lamp. Now, it's not perfect, but I like it. And I didn't show this part, but I'm going to have to put some rubber feet on the bottom for two reasons. Number one, I want it to be secure on whatever surface I put it on so it doesn't slide around. And number two, I need something to give a little height because I didn't have any flathead bolts to use for this. I could have, but I just used what I had laying around, and this really was a budget build. So if you enjoyed what you saw here today and you'd like to see what's coming up next from the Droid Workshop, be sure to like and subscribe down below. I've got a lot of plans coming up. I'm printing more parts for my Astromech. I've picked up the updated head files for the Pit Droid that'll make the head pan and tilt. And I've got a plan to automate, to try to turn my daughter's old land speeder that she outgrew into an RC car with the pit droid in there driving. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, and I've also picked up the latest Droid Division files for AZ, the medical droid from Bad Batch. I've already got some of the parts sitting on the printer right now, printing up, and I cannot wait to get started on that one. So for now, from my family to yours, however you choose to celebrate this season, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and may the droids be with you. And integrate the pit droid in it so it looks like he's driving, going down the highway